Welcome to screenprintingartist.com. If you haven't already, go to my website, check out screenprintingartist.com and look at the training. You can see the other tutorials are all saved there underneath the tutorials tab. I'm also running a bootcamp, so if you haven't checked that out yet, check it out on the training page. There's a link right to the course. The early access course starts right away, and if you miss that, if you hook up to this tutorial later on, the course still should be live, so you'll be able to get in at a later course round. So make sure you check that out. Now, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump in here. We're going to work on a school design today. Now, one thing that is interesting with designs that are going to be what you might say alternate location prints. So a standard location print might be something, kind of in the center of the shirt here. If you're going to do a different location print, so in this case we're going to do like a vertical print, which is here, which might run up the left side of the shirt. Those are real popular for schools. If you're going to do a print like this, it's real useful to start actually with a shirt graphic like this. And this is actually a graphic. If I go to wireframe mode, Alt-V-W, you can see this is a graphic. And the nice thing about using a graphic for a shirt, as you'll see later on, is that you can change the color of it really quickly and get kind of a spread of designs. And what I mean by a spread of designs is you have, almost like a hand of cards. You have something similar about the designs, or even the design is the same, but the shirt color and the colors in the design itself change. And you'll see what I mean by that later. I'm going to actually square this off just a little bit. And if this is all grouped, so to select within a group, I hold the control key down and click in. And then you'll see it's this curve. And I'm just going to kind of square off the bottom just so it was more of an athletic look to the shirt, but just so I have a little more room here to design. And I'm going to go ahead and start now. This design is going to be for a team called the Bulldogs, and in this case I'm going to go ahead and switch pages initially just so that I can get my Bulldog graphic started. And on this second page, or this, I'm going to create a new page actually, insert page after, leave them all on the same page. I'm going to go ahead and save the file. So Alt-Shift-S. I'm going to go ahead and save it, and we'll call it Bulldog shirt, and we'll go ahead and save it just so that we don't lose what we're working on. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to import something because I want to make the mascot first. And you'll see the mascot, actually there's a couple different images here. Just real quick how I developed this mascot, I'm going to bring in those pieces first. So this is kind of a rough sketch that was done on tracing paper, and that not everybody has the background to do this kind of thing. But if you do, and you're comfortable drawing, this is a really nice way to start. Is just imagine this isn't on the computer, it's on a piece of tracing paper. Trace this real quick. That's the first step. And then the second step is to do an ink of the outline of it. You see, you just kind of do an ink of the outline. You notice I didn't fill it all in here, right? I just did a kind of and not the smoothest in the world, but I just did a cut line kind of around the edges. This looks a little fuzzy there, but you can see how it tightens up in a second. So that kind of cleans up, and you kind of tighten it up. So you start with that kind of gesture drawing, then you do the tighter line drawing, and then you end up with, here I'll pull in the last one, you end up with this kind of line drawing right here. And this is after it's been kind of cleaned up a little bit and squeezed. And then this is pretty much ready to be traced in CorelDRAW. And how we're going to do that is, you can see down here what the trace is. It's an RGB bitmap. It's 300 by 300 dpi, which should be enough resolution for us to trace it. And right up here in the middle button is CorelDRAW 7. You hit Trace Bitmap, and I'm going to go to Outline Trace, Detail Logo. And it's going to ask me to reduce the size of the bitmap because it's kind of big. That's fine. We can let CorelDRAW do that. Sometimes I'll do it, sometimes I won't. And that's just in case it gets too large. It might create too many nodes and lock the software up. One thing to keep in mind before I trace, I want to save the file like I did. If you don't save the file prior to trace, occasionally the software will get caught in the loop or something bad will happen. And when it does these processes, you can see it grinding away here. Now, one thing you notice, I pumped the detail up right there because in my original trace, it didn't trace all the pieces that are in here. You see it was missing a couple, but then I bumped the detail up, not quite all the way because I want it to be a little smoothed out. And if to really tell and see, you can kind of zoom in here. I just click on the mouse right here, and I can just see how my edge quality. See how it kind of improves the edge quality a little bit here? Went from fuzzy to a little bit cleaner. That looks pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and say OK, but first, actually before I say OK, I'm going to do one thing. I don't want all these values of gray. I just really want black and white here. So I'm going to force it to black and white. And what that does is, you see it running right here. It takes any gray tones that are over 50% and it's going to throw them to black, and then any gray tones that are under 50% it's going to throw them to white. And that really makes it easier now because I'm going to edit this. Now I only got 2 colors to work with, whereas before I would have all these little gray pieces everywhere. So now that I've got that, I'm going to say OK. It's going to dump that file on top as a group of 180 objects, dumped it right on top of my bitmap right here. So I can delete my bitmap. Now I've got a traced vector item, and I can go to wireframe mode and show you how that's vectorized, right? And I'm going to ungroup that, so Control U. I'm going to get rid of the outside border, right? So I delete that, and now I've got my inside bulldog to work with. Now in this case, you can see all these pieces now. Some of these pieces are this. You can click it and you see it's that is in grayscale mode right now. So it's at 0% gray, which is black. That's black, and then all the pieces here are white, which is 1%, or not 1, but gray 1, or 100% as white as you can get. So it's either black or it's white. So I'm going to zoom out here, which is good because I don't need all those. You know, out of 181 pieces, I don't want to be sitting here clicking, and every piece is like a different value of gray. So here 1, and then this is going to be 0. So, and I can change that later if I want to. I'm going to make a different color or whatever. Now I'm going to make this into something that I want to fit on this shirt here. You can see, so it's going to fit into this background. So to do that, one thing I want to do is I'm going to group all my pieces here. I'm going to group them. I'm going to move it off here, and then I'm going to click my shirt here, and let's see what color this is. So it's saying it's 100% RGB, which is fine. Now I want the same color. I want the same color palette that I'm using though. So what I can do is I can just come down here, and I want to make everything that's in this image right here. Since this is all fills, I'm going to use the Corel's little color replace thing. So I'm going to go to Edit. Down at the bottom there's Find and Replace. I'm going to say Find Objects, and I can hit Next. But one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually hold the Control key and I'm going to click on this object. So it's going to show this color. Then when I go to Find and Replace, you're going to see Find and Replace. There you go. Replace Objects, Replace Color Mode and Palette. And then I go Next. And then you say Find Color Replaced as Fills, right? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say Find a Color Model, right? And my model is going to be grayscale, and then I'm going to turn that to and then select which color model you would like it to replace with. So basically say Find Color Model Grayscale here. So you want to find that, hit Finish, and then so you didn't find any of those colors. So what I really want to do, let's go ahead and do it one more time. Edit, replace Color Model Palette. Hit Next, Fills, find any color model or palette. Now we need to find a color model that is grayscale. For some reason, sometimes within a group it doesn't detect it, and I think that's what's going on here. If you hit Finish, see how it didn't find anything? Let's see, I say OK. So what I'll do here instead, let me back out here. Let's just find everything that's within this group that's similar. So let's do it a little different. Instead of replace, let's go ahead and edit. Let's go find this time. Find objects that match the currently selected object. Hit Next, and then hit Edit, and take curves off. So basically what that means is you're finding any object that's the same fill as that object that I'm originally selected on, which is a fill of this color. I hit Next, I'll hit Next again, I'll hit Finish, and then I say Find All, and then I'll say, oh, there's much under groups, would you like to ungroup them? Yes, because otherwise I won't find them all. And then you click off, and now so you can see it's found 59 objects. So 59 objects that are this color, and what I want to do is I want to make them grayscale. So then I'll click here, I'll just double click that, and then I'll go here to the model, and I'll say it's RGB and zeros, and I'll say OK. And so now I've changed, you can see I changed that color model, and I can do the same thing with the white. See, because the white is this gray one, I want it to be RGB, so we're going to go here, find place, we'll say find objects, match this currently selected, next, edit, click curves off, next, next, and then finish, find all, and then click off, and see you can found 121, and essentially we can just go right here, click this, same thing, go to RGB, just go up in the corner, making sure it's all white. And so now I went to RGB mode, which is, it's nice because then it's going to match this shirt color, right? If we're going to go black, you can see the blacks would match up. I'll go to the front so you can see that. Page up, so the blacks match up now, whereas before they didn't. So it's nice to work in the same color palette. Otherwise you might have trouble printing out, or things might just look weird, especially if you output them to a printer. So now we're going to make the type for this. This is the kind of like a graphic. And in this case, since we want a vertical print, but we want the mascot to be on there, I want the mascot to be kind of a washed out background on there. So let's put the mascot on here. In this case, I'm going to actually move him up just a little bit. So I kind of skew him just a little bit here. Just to move his back legs up a little bit. And I'm going to probably leave him a little bigger and maybe have him fade off the shirt itself. And then I can have the type overlap a little bit. So how are we going to do this? Well, one way to do with school shirts, like I said, is you kind of make the mascot like a stained out version of what it is. And the way you can do that is we'll ungroup it and then we'll combine it. And if that doesn't work because the fills are different, or if there's double fills on it, we can check it out here real quick. The way we can do that, you can go over, kind of pull it off to the side here. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll take a background. This is just to tweak this real quick. I'll take a background, any kind of medium color, could be red, green, and I'll put it behind it. That way we can see, if I take these pieces off now, see I don't need this piece, right? I'm going to delete it. But you don't know in here what you need and what you don't. Because some of these pieces might be, looks like they're all pretty much hollowed out. So I might be able to get rid of all my white in one shot. So if that's the case, and the black is a negative, then I can select everything here. And then just select this white, that's this. I'll say edit, find. We did this before, find, we're using that script. Next, edit. See, if you left curves on it, we'll only select an object that exactly matched that curve shape. And we don't want that. We want to select any curves that have this fill. So that's why I turn that off. Then I hit next, next, finish. And it should find all of them. And then hopefully if I delete them now, yeah, it's going to delete them and just leave my black. And now this should, when I combine it, not get messed up like it did before. So I'll select them all, Control L. Yeah, now see it's all just one big curve now. If I change the color, you can see how that changes. That's what I want. So I'm going to delete this. And then I'm going to be able to have this, and I'm going to, as you notice, it doesn't show up on the shirt, right? But what we can do is we'll go here, and we'll just show what it looks like. It's just stained on there, like a background stain. So I'm kind of lightening it by pushing this up, and I just say OK. You can see now it's just like a background stain. This is actually a really pretty popular look for a mascot shirt. And then we just need the graphic to kind of run behind it vertically here, right? And don't worry that it's falling off this. What I'll probably do is just fade it out on this piece real quick. But I'm gonna make the type happen first. So what we need is you do the type real quick. Click here, and we'll just type it all out. I like to type all the type at the same time. So bulldogs. And then we'll do a little slogan here. We'll go. Gotta make the town. So call them Johnsburg Bulldogs, and then we gotta have a saying, right? Of course, you gotta have a saying with Bulldogs. Let's go with this. Protect the house, like the dog house, right? Let's see that working for them. All right, now hit Control K, break them apart, and then this we want kind of a blocky font. because blocky fonts work good for vertical prints. So we'll go here and we'll go down, pick like a Geo Slab here. Geo Slab font. Oop, went a little bit far here. Let's go ahead and grab pick Geometric. There's a Geo Slab here somewhere. There's Geo Slab. Here we go. Geo Slab. I might want more of a slab than this. See, I might want a squarer font. Let's see if we got a squarer font. Sometimes you can find, let's try square slab. I think we got square slab in here. Let's see if that works. Sports World might work. That's a little bit of a different font. You need a real blocky font. It's real solid. Here, that's a good one. We'll use this one because it's a nice square font. And I'll even move it a little bit closer, and you click the shape tool and you kind of squeeze it closer just so I have the least amount of space in there. But you want a little bit of space just so it doesn't bleed together totally, but a little bit of space is okay to have it in there. And then this, we want Johnsburg to be kind of a rough, let's see what we have here, maybe something like this, so it looks kind of rough on that, you know, kind of tone. That way it gives you a little contrast between the solid font here. You wouldn't want like too many solid fonts. And this one we can just go as kind of a an accent font that goes below here. And there's a couple different ways you could do that, but I'll probably use like a square font, but that's thinner. So we'll use like this, and we spread it out, right? So saying can go below, but it's, you hit the shape tool, if you spread it out a little bit. So just drag it first, and then almost 3/4 of the way, and then hold the shift key, and then that creates space in between the letters a little bit, right? So you got Bulldogs, you got Protect the House. So this is your font, your kind of layout here. And then this can go like this, and then you click it once, and then hold the control key, and it'll lock it so that, you see how it locks it to like increments of 15 degrees, and then you can move it and it locks it to vertical right here. A little bit big now, so we can shrink it down. But you see how useful it is now with my shirt kind of on here. I can kind of see how this is going to fit on this shirt body. That's real important because you don't know, plus you're making the art approval at the same time, but you don't know how this is going to work, right? Now I want this, you're going to see how I want this to kind of work with this design. So what I really want to do here is I kind of want to fade this out. So what I can do, I'll show you how this works. We're going to kind of click here, and then I'm going to click this transparency tool, and I'm going to really kind of drag it and go this way. Oops, went the wrong way. Let me switch over here. Let me drag him over here. You see how it's kind of fading out here a little bit? There we go. So we got that way we kind of have this guy fading into the edge of the shirt. Now if you're worried there's going to be some hanging out here, we could always create a power clip, or I could kind of drag this, I could take this guy right here and just say, just go effects, power clip, place inside frame, and just put it, oh, it's saying it's invalid because, it's a good little tip here, ungroup, it's a group, so we can't, it doesn't want a power clip inside the group, doesn't understand it, so we'll try it again, effects, power clip, inside frame, there, pop it in the group. Now you don't have anything, see, you don't have anything here, I'm clicking, but I'm not selecting anything because the Bulldog is actually, if I hold the control key, he's actually inside the surface of the shirt now. You can see that. So that's useful. Now let's look at this Bulldog thing now. Now let's decide on what our colors are. Bulldogs, we'll just make him purple and yellow. Typical school colors, you know, it's going to depend obviously on what the you know, school is, right? What the school colors are. We'll drag it over here, pop it on there. And then this is kind of a popular look because you kind of see how the Bulldog is coming out, and you're like, well, he doesn't show up enough, so maybe I need him to show up more. You can always, you know, just increase the gray here, you know, lighten the gray a little bit. Okay, and he's going to show up a little bit more there. And then Bulldog's here, and maybe he doesn't fade out well enough there, so you're going to kind of have to adjust the transparency here. Go to your transparency tool. It's going to give you that, and you can just pull this over a little bit more. See how it's starting to fade out a little bit here. You can kind of see where that bulldog's overlap, and that's a nice feature in CorelDRAW 7. You don't see it in some of the other programs where it shows you the other elements in the design as it shows you kind of like what you're working, the layer you're working on when you're doing a power clip. Then right click, fade out, so then you have that fade there, which is nice. This, and then I just want a couple effects here, and we can kind of finish this up. I'm gonna just kind of shrink this just a little bit. I don't want it extending out past my design here. I'm gonna save this, so Control S saves it. I want to put a couple things I saved. One is I want to put, like, since we're saying protect the house, I kind of want this chain link on here. Put a chain link overlap on here. So I have two things I saved as an earlier layer. One, this is just for distress filter, and this is chain link. So this is actually a previously saved pattern I used for something else. It's a group of 3 pieces of chain link. You go to wireframe mode, you kind of see how it's just all kind of like a chain link. So this works good because Alt VW, go back in, and Alt VE, it's going back to enhanced mode. This works good because it just kind of knocks out the design to the background, right? So I'm going to move it off here. If you move it off, then when I switch back to pages, it'll float. And then I can kind of, a couple different ways of doing it. I can, just overlap the lettering right out the bat. Now we want this to match this. In this case, you can see it's RGB. It's already ready to match. It's a different color. We can make it a different color. In this case, I just want to knock out. I just want to go over bulldogs only, and I don't want to mess up my protect the house thing here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go Shift page down. So I just put it behind everything, and then I'm going to effects, power clip it, just place it inside of just the bulldogs image right there. So that kind of makes it, kind of tough looking or whatever. But then I want just a little bit of grid over this whole thing, except for this protect the house. So I want a little grid on top of Johnsburg and on top of my bulldogs, maybe not over this guy. So I want to have, a little bit of distress on there. I'm going to use this. I'm going to squeeze it. Effects, just tone curve, just a little bit of a bitmap tone curve here to make it a little bit darker, but mostly a lot lighter. All right, so I get my pieces here. Let's stretch it out here and see if we can get some stuff going without too much. You don't want too much of say OK. And you just need a slice of this really, because this is a pretty detailed bitmap, so you don't need a ton of it to make a nice distress. We can take a piece out of this bitmap mode, black and white. You can kind of see it closer up here, just to give an idea of how much it's going to fade. Now we don't have time. We're going to go to line art, just squeeze it all the way. Threshold, we can go a little more, and I'll just say OK. And then now I probably just want a chunk of this, so I'll just crop it right here. Take a chunk of it out. There we go. This will be good for distress. Again, move it off. I can go back to my file here, like this. I'm going to shrink it. It's a monochrome bitmap, and then I'm going to fill it with nothing. And then I'm going to use the eyedropper tool. I'm going to right click on just the border. I'm going to click onto border, not the right click, left click right here. And that just makes the outline knock out whatever it is that overlaps. So then I can bring this in, overlap everything. See how it kind of makes it gritty here? And then I can just take that file, because it's a little heavier at the top. I can Control D, duplicate it a little bit. And then I'll just hold the Control key and flip it. And also put it at the bottom. Right? Like that. And you can always straighten it down. So I got 2 power clips, one kind of coming from the bottom, one kind of coming from the top. Makes it a little gritty. You maybe wouldn't want to bust Johnsburg as much, so you could just kind of move it off a little bit. And if you didn't want it to affect your underneath image here, you could power clip this into the Johnsburg instead of just leaving it floating on top. That kind of gives you an idea of how to finish a quick mascot design for a school that is also just really popular. And there's a lot of different choices. Now the last piece of this, like I said before, is you can make a spread of these designs for different shirt colors, right? And the way you can do that is you kind of group this, kind of save it, move it off. I'll right click, right, and then I can move it down here, here, and then I can go over here and here. And now what I can do when I come in here, so I'll click here, right? And then what I'll change is I'll go edit, replace, you go replace objects, replace color, right? And you go next, and you say you're going to find, I'll go more, I got to change it to RGB. So we're going to find that black, and say OK. And say OK. The only problem that I just realized I got to do is I got to go to apply currently selected images only, and then I can go next. And then I'm going to select this. I'm going to change this to blue. So I'm going to turn this into a blue shirt. So I'm going to make a royal blue shirt. So let's just change it to this color blue. Okay. But I want it RGB, right? So I kind of make it this Cubs blue color. And then I say finish, and I say replace all. And you can see how it replaced. Sometimes it doesn't work on everything, but how it replaced like everything in the image except for that overlay, which is fine because you can do that pretty quick. You can kind of just come in here with an eyedropper tool, click right there, hold it over where it gets close to your bitmap, and then click it, and then it's going to switch it out. And what you do for this image is you just really quickly go in, you know, and kind of tweak it. And then what you can do is click here, hold the shift key, click here again, right, click, and then hit edit contents or edit power clip. You're going to go in here, and then what you want is here, you probably want a little bit of a darker blue, right? Maybe darker blue than the blue that we have. See, this is the blue we have. So if I click it here, and I click the blue we have, then I darken it up a little bit, and double click, so I'm going to darken it up. So it's just going to look like a stain on the shirt, which is a nice way to go. See how that stains it? And then Bulldogs here, we want to click in here. Let me go ahead and move this with the control key, move it off. This you're going to click, instead of purple here, maybe we would make this one, since it's the bigger element, we'd make that yellow, and we make the Johnsburg one, you know, kind of the purple, a little bit lighter, just so it pops off, and this would make it white. You know, so you have a couple color changes here, but in this case, this, when you right click, again, you can edit the power clip, come in here, click this element, CorelDRAW 7, your colors are selected already for you. So you click this and then click off, and then basically you can click this, again, hold the shift key so you're in a control in a child curve, so that makes it circles, and then you can, without going out of the and so that's one way you can rapidly create different color. I won't lengthen this video by going through too many more, but you can kind of see how that you can lengthen or kind of rapidly build up a color spread of shirts, you know, where, and then I usually, for this one at least, I usually go ahead and make the different pieces here. I'll ungroup it and just do a quick all black, just because it pops a little bit more. And that way, and then you have your, you know, essentially the same art, but then you have your you know, your blue version and then your black version. And you can show that to a client, and it usually works out pretty well. So thanks for watching, and make sure to check out screenprintingartist.com and look for the new courses coming up, the Bootcamp, and coming soon will be the Photoshop course.